Jessica, on the corporate report, this is a note of the various board committees. Is there anything you want to draw our attention to specifically?
No.
Sigurd is not here on technology and data. Richard, anything?
I think I draw it. I mean, the last meeting was very focused on getting the accounts cleared off. I'm very, very positive from the auditors about everything around the accounts. So, yeah, thanks to the accounts team here. I think for next year, our real focus is trying to get this to look a bit more like a single organisation set of accounts. It is still stitched together, but actually, in terms of the underlying quality of the work, it's very, very good. The only other thing I was going to raise briefly later on your report, Chairman, is on the some more work on the risk management. And internal teams do an excellent job on that. So, yeah, if you want to look at a beautiful piece of theoretical approach to risk management, it's great. What you really need to do is really get the executive team engaged in this so they feel like they own it themselves. And I would suggest that maybe for one of our development sessions, the board does some work around this, around what the top key strategic risks are and how we approach them.
Yeah. Yeah. That comes up in my chairman's report, doesn't it? We can add that to the list.
I thought I might forget by then.
No, very good. Glynis, anything on nomination and remuneration?
No, except to say that we are being very flexible and responsive to the need to act quickly.
Yes. Thank you. and Glynis's point arises because we've had to do something at relatively short notice today about an appointment, and it does put quite a lot of pressure on our non-execs to respond, but as you say, you are doing so, and I think that's hopefully well received by the executive.
Yeah. We'll get ahead of it eventually.
And Caroline, appointments and remuneration.
Well, we've got the substantial paper coming in the private session, which I would welcome the idea that we made it public once we've got the various roles agreed. Otherwise, we are the matter of moment is we are still debating the title of the name of the committee in order to make sure it's clearly differentiated from the Nominations and Remuneration Committee. And we've come up with a new title, which was Provider Leadership Committee, PLC. Which we thought sounded completely different and encompassed what we're doing. Yeah. And the challenge is to make sure that we don't just do process, but we also do strategy and trends and policy in the committee, and really help move the leadership forward and the external trusts.
Excellent. Thank you, chairs and members of those committees, for the work. A lot of work goes on in our committees because that's the nature of delegated environment, so thank you for that. So that's the end of the formal items on the public board agenda. Now an opportunity to ask members of the public any questions that they may have on items that we've covered today.
Brent McInerney, just attending as a member of the public, really is interested on your sustainable transformation plan paper on page 2, item 9 on the last bullet point, where you talked about the assessing degree of consensus and support for proposed changes and plans for engagement with clinicians, the public and key partners. And one of the things, if you're having that discussion over those sustainable transformation plans tomorrow, that I would really ask you to do, and that would be have a very detailed look on the engagement plans. The reason I say this and whatever is I think sometimes we often start a little bit further forward and not back enough when we do that. Jim, you mentioned about consultation, and absolutely right on that, really. And I think sometimes we blur those lines between consultation and information sharing.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons and whatever, really. But for the public, I just think we need to be honest about what it is that you can influence and what you can't. And the other thing that I'd like you to do, really, when you look at those plans, and I've said the same to Duncan and same to Dave as well with his boards, is have a look for innovation within that as well. We should be. I heard a lot of words around the table, and it kept coming back to challenges and whatever. I hear that all the time, and I don't think anyone doesn't realise there are challenges there, but we really need to talk up the opportunities. And I was really pleased in terms of the health inequalities got raised. I just added it should be health and social inequalities really, so it really makes it clear in whatever, if we are about integration, that we don't talk about wider terms of health, we're very clear about health and social inequalities. So those are the two things. I've got some aspects about how the meeting went, and I've fed those in, and waiting in reception, etc. But I'll email those in really rather than say them at the board now.
Good, thank you. Jim, do you want to respond?
Great points. And we, on the engagement and consultation point, in a lot of the STPs there's been a very strong local authority presence. And in some of those they've made fantastic progress in proper conversations with the public about options and choices, and I think the NHS has fallen into the trap at times in the past of telling people what the answer is and saying it's a consultation, and you've got our commitment. We will do our level best to make sure people don't do that, and also thinking that if you skim through it, it's actually quicker. But in my experience, if you have a thorough conversation at the beginning, the whole thing can actually progress more quickly and be more lasting and have more support. And there are some parts of the country that have done this really well, and I think we have to connect people where there's good expertise on it and somebody has a challenge in that area to make sure they're connected and supported appropriately. Absolutely, and all your other points I'd agree with. We'll take that on board tomorrow.
Thank you, Bren, for that question. Any other questions, members of the public? Good. Well, thank you. I hope that the video of this part of the meeting, when we put it on our website, is, we say, attracts more onlookers than physical attendance. But I'm very grateful that you have come today, grateful for the question, and I look forward to continuing this. And as we expand the agenda of the public board meetings, a greater attendance for members of the public. So thank you very much. If I can ask now that we ask representatives and other members of the public to depart, we'll take a short break and then move into our private session.